Young lady, thank you. Thank you very much.
Honorable Ministers, Permanent Secretaries, gentlemen of the press, let me start by thanking you most sincerely for your endurance and perseverance in these very trying times in the history of the world and our nation. And let me also commend your very resolve and determination and the great work that you are doing in spite of challenges. It has become necessary to give you further briefings this afternoon. And I will go straight to the content of the press message. In furtherance of our ongoing engagement with the public and stakeholders through the Presidential Task Force and the Honorable Minister of Health, I have found it necessary to update you on recent developments regarding the management of matters arising from COVID-19 pandemic. Let me remind you that as at the time the Honorable Minister of Health briefed you earlier today, the numbers from the World Health Organization, WHO, confirmed that the virus has covered 192 countries, reporting over 329,000 cases. In Africa, 42 out of the 54 countries have reported cases, while 48 deaths have been recorded. In Nigeria, 36 cases have been reported and 1 fatality has occurred. The first respondents, particularly the National Center for Disease Control, continues to attend to reports received through telephone calls and other media. We commend Nigerians for stepping out to report and or make inquiries through the dedicated hotlines. Records show that on Sunday, 22nd March 2020, over 4,500 calls were received. This shows the high level of awareness amongst Nigerians. The strategy of government is to focus on testing, dictation, and containment through contact tracking in order to minimize hugely the possibility of community spread. We urge anyone experiencing the symptoms of the virus or has contact with anyone who has been suspected or tested positive to please report at the nearest medical facility or the designated centers. The Presidential Task Force continues to monitor the global and domestic developments and has isolated Lagos and Abuja for particular attention in view of their population, mobility, and number of cases already reported. The Honorable Minister for Health has given a comprehensive and detailed listings and figures this afternoon. As you are all aware, the number of advisories have been issued and measures taken. Part of the measures being taken presently include the following: escalating the nation's capacity for testing and detection through the acquisition of more testing kits and establishment of additional test centers, acquisition of personnel protection equipment, PPE, for different categories of frontline personnel, enhancing contact tracking, deepening awareness creation, mobilization of experts and trained personnel, whether in service or retired, introduction of social distancing policy, and restricting mass gatherings of over 50 persons at a time, closure of schools and tertiary institutions. The total ban on international travels shall commence at 12 midnight tonight at all our airports, and leaders of different faiths have been encouraged to restrict services and activities that involve mass gathering of more than 50 persons or adherence. State governments have also been encouraged in enforcing this policy at different levels. Ladies and gentlemen, after a further review, Mr. President, on the recommendation of the Presidential Task Force, has approved the following additional measures. 1, suspension of the weekly Federal Executive Council meetings until further notice. 2, postponement of the meeting of the Council of State, which was scheduled to take place on Thursday, the 26th of March 2020. 3, all land borders that have been hitherto under partial closure shall now be closed for human traffic for 4 weeks, effective today, the 23rd of March 2020. In order to protect federal civil and public servants, a circular will be issued by the head of service of the Federation and shall direct on actions to be taken immediately. This evening, the head of service would work on a circular which she will release that will give us an indication of how we would proceed in dealing with the federal civil service and the public officers in the engagement of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. If and when the need arises, Mr. President has approved, fifthly, that any national assets that are required for use in the response to COVID-19 shall be mobilized and deployed. 6, federal government is at the highest level engaging with state governors in order to ensure a collaborative and effective response to COVID-19 pandemic. And 7, all Abuja and Lagos residents are strongly advised to stay at home, avoid mass congregation of any kind, as well as non-essential outings until further notice or advice is given. Finally, the Presidential Task Force assures all Nigerians of the concerns of Mr. President and his determination to mobilize all resources to back this national response. However, this commitment should be reciprocated by all citizens by respecting the advisory and obeying measures put in place to curtail the spread of COVID-19. The Presidential Task Force shall be updating Nigerians from time to time when the need arises. I thank you for your kind attention. When they are ordered. So we expect that at least some measures will be put in place by the port health authorities and the management of the ports to ensure that at least, because most times when the sailors come, they are allowed to come on land. But I believe that certain restrictions will be put in respect of that, so that we do not completely ground the nation even in received. Yeah? Yeah? Yeah. Oh, it's already been put in place. Yeah, I understand that has already been put in place. Yes. Run the affairs of the police in the various laws and in zones to ensure compliance, because it's for the safety of all of us Nigerians. It's not just for a particular group. If you would want to know, the explosive spread of coronavirus in South Korea is attributable to just one lady of 35 years old who came in from China and went for 2 Sunday services and had lunch. 60% of the infection in South Korea is ascribed to her actions. One person who came in from China and went for 2 church services and ended up having lunch. And they attribute 60% of the infection in South Korea to that single individual. Yes.
Ekiti tested negative, but the driver was positive, and the caregiver who was in that index case was negative. So it raised some questions at first whether the driver got it from the index case, but that index case was deceased. So all the tests done, I think they were in fact more than two, showed that the index case was negative. But the driver was a taxi driver, could have obtained it from anywhere because he was carrying, I think it was an airport taxi or something, was used to carrying a lot of foreign visitors. So it hasn't been clear. CDC is looking into it on how come the driver is positive. But the driver is doing well, he's in hospital and his symptoms are mild.
Okay, gentlemen and ladies, thank you.
Kajira.